All right, welcome to another deep dive.
Yeah.
This time we're going to be looking at nonverbal communication.
Lots to talk about there.
Yeah, and we've got some audio excerpts
Okay.
and also a workbook by Joe Navarro, who was a former FBI special agent for 25 years in counterintelligence and counterterrorism.
Wow.
So
That's quite a resume.
he's kind of like the ultimate
Yeah.
human lie detector,
Right.
or so we thought.
Right. Or is he?
Right.
Well, actually,
just-
Navarro kind of pushes back against that whole lie detector thing.
Really?
You know, it's not like there's one
Whoa.
magic bullet, like
Okay.
one thing that screams liar.
Right.
It's more about understanding how our limbic system, that's like the ancient instinctive part of our brain,
Okay.
reacts to comfort and discomfort.
So it's less about
Yeah.
someone telling a bold-faced lie
Right.
and more like, are they comfortable in this situation?
Exactly.
I'm
It's-
comfortable.
Yeah. It's not necessarily about deception, but it's about, are they leaking signs of comfort or discomfort?
Okay, so these limbic responses,
Yeah.
they're so deeply ingrained in us
Yes.
that they just kind of seep out.
They leak out. We don't even realize we're doing it.
And that's where we can maybe find some truth.
That's where the gold is. Yeah.
Okay, so where should we focus our attention?
Okay, so believe it or not,
Okay.
Navarro says start with the feet.
The feet. What? So my feet have a mind of their own.
Well, in a way, yes.
Okay.
They're often the most honest part of the body.
Huh?
And you can really see where someone's attention or their intention is headed
Interesting.
just by watching their feet.
So, like, okay, so give me an example.
Okay, so let's say you're talking to someone
Right.
and their foot is subtly pointed
Okay.
towards the exit.
Uh-huh.
They might subconsciously
Oh.
be ready to end the conversation.
Okay, so I was at a networking event recently.
They've been there.
And I was talking to some people,
Right.
and I don't know, maybe I wasn't that engaged in the conversation.
Well, maybe.
Or maybe they weren't, but could it have been
It's
that
possible.
they were just ready to leave?
Yeah, their feet might have been
Their feet were pointed
pointed towards the door.
toward the door, yeah.
Yeah, or maybe the bar, or maybe the buffet table. Who knows?
Okay, so context matters.
Context is everything, right? We're not talking about hard and fast rules here. It's
No.
just additional layers of information to
Yeah.
consider.
But if you see, like, multiple
Or-
clues all pointing in one direction,
Yeah, a cluster of these.
then it probably IS
So
something
then you want to pay attention.
you should pay attention to.
Yeah.
So we're talking about feet.
Okay.
What about our legs?
Oh, yeah. Legs are great.
Because they tell us anything.
Yeah, leg position can really reveal a lot about comfort levels.
Mm.
So, for instance, crossed legs, particularly when someone's kind of leaning in towards you, that often indicates ease and liking.
Makes sense.
You know, it's like a way of subtly closing off the space,
Yeah.
creating a little private zone
Yeah.
with the person you're enjoying talking to.
I've noticed, though, that if someone's feeling threatened
Yes.
or uncomfortable, they immediately uncross those legs, plant their feet firmly on the ground.
It's like that fight or flight response kicking in.
Yeah, like they're ready to make a run for it.
The limbic system, it overrides
Wow.
all those polite social gestures.
Yeah, primal instinct. Back to our primal instinct.
Yes. Okay, so moving up the body now.
Okay.
What about the arms?
Arms?
Is arms crossed always a bad sign?
Well, not necessarily.
Okay.
It depends on the grip.
The grip.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you see someone with their arms crossed really tightly,
Uh-huh.
maybe even with a clenched fist,
Okay.
that definitely signals some tension there
Right.
or defensiveness.
Okay.
But if someone's got their arms crossed loosely,
Right.
relaxed grip.
They could just be comfortable.
So how do I know
Yeah.
if I should try to? It's like
That's a good question.
open them up with a welcoming gesture
Yeah.
or just let them be.
Well, that's where your detective skills come in.
Right.
You got to look at all the other cues they're giving off.
Okay.
Are they leaning back?
Uh-huh.
Are they smiling? Or are their eyebrows furrowed?
Yeah, context.
Context is key, right?
Yeah.
It's all about clusters and context.
Okay, all right. So speaking of arms,
Yeah.
what about this pose?
Okay.
The arms akimbo pose,
Mm.
hands on hips, elbows out.
Oh, yeah.
What's that about?
I see that all the time.
Me too.
Yeah, that's often a territorial display.
Mm.
It's a way of taking up space,
Right.
projecting confidence,
Right.
maybe even dominance in some cases.
That's interesting, but doesn't it also seem a little aggressive?
It can.
Yeah.
It can. But here's a really cool tip that Navarro shares.
Okay.
If you want to soften that arms akimbo pose and appear a little more approachable,
Okay.
Try turning your hands so your thumbs are facing forward
Okay.
and your fingers are pointing back.
Interesting.
It subtly changes the vibe
Yeah.
from confrontation to curiosity.
That's a good tip. I like that.
It's a good one.
I'm going to try that.
Try it out.
Okay, so this next one is a little awkward.
Okay.
But Navarro mentions something called genital framing.
Yes.
What is that?
Well, it is what it sounds like.
Okay.
It's when people subtly highlight that area,
Okay.
often by hooking their thumbs into their belt loops, or maybe their pockets.
Okay.
It's almost like a subconscious way of drawing attention to their confidence, I guess you could say.
Wow. But what's the limbic connection there?
Well, think about it in terms of territory and dominance.
Okay.
It's about subtly marking your space,
Okay.
even in a social setting.
So they're feeling good about themselves.
They're feeling good. Okay, I will definitely be looking for that one.
They'll start to notice it everywhere.
Discreetly, of course.
Of course, discreetly.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So we've talked about feet, we've talked about legs, we've talked about arms.
Okay.
What about torsos?
Torsos, yeah.
What can they tell us?
Well, Navarro calls the torso our human billboard.
Our human billboard.
Yeah, it's how we present ourselves to the world.
Okay.
Through our clothing, our accessories, our posture.
Okay.
Even how much of our torso we choose to expose.
So it's like our style is part of our
Our style is nonverbal communication.
nonverbal communication.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Yeah, think about the choices you make.
Yeah.
About what to wear every day.
Uh-huh.
Those choices send a message.
Yeah, they do.
Are you projecting professionalism,
Right.
creativity, rebellion?
It's all there on your torso.
It's all right there.
So what about this idea
Yeah.
that an exposed torso is linked to honesty?
Oh, yeah.
Does that mean we should all be wearing, like, well, not necessarily,
You know, low-cut tops if we want it.
maybe not low-cut tops, but
Build trust.
Navarro does suggest paying attention
Yeah.
to how people position their torsos in different settings.
Okay.
Like, think about someone who's standing tall and open
Yeah?
at a networking event.
Uh.
They might appear more confident
Right.
and approachable than
Right.
someone hunched over their phone in the corner.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
So it's like our posture is part of
Posture is part of your brand.
our brand.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It goes beyond just individual perception, though.
Okay.
Think about a leader addressing a crowd.
Yeah.
You know, someone standing up straight, chest open.
Right.
They project a sense of authority
Yeah.
and trustworthiness, right?
Uh-huh. But if they're slouching or hiding behind a podium,
If they're slouching,
it doesn't have the same effect.
that message gets muddled.
Totally. Yeah. It's almost like their posture
Yeah.
can amplify or undermine what they're saying.
It's all connected.
Yeah. That's interesting. I'll definitely be paying attention to that.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, so before we move on,
Yeah.
I have to ask about power posing.
Oh, power posing.
You know, standing with your legs apart, hands on hips, chest out.
Yeah.
Does that actually boost confidence?
It's a bit of a debate.
Okay.
You know, some research suggests that it can
can-
affect hormonal levels
Right.
and increase feelings of confidence.
Right.
But other studies have questioned those findings.
Okay, so maybe it won't instantly turn you into a superhero,
Maybe not instantly.
but it's still an interesting idea.
It is.
Yeah.
You know, how our physicality can impact our mental state.
Right.
Speaking of hands,
Okay.
there's another interesting thing
Okay.
that Navarro points out,
Okay.
which is that the way we touch people
Okay.
can also reveal a lot about our feelings.
Mm.
So when we're genuinely caring and affectionate,
Okay.
we tend to touch with the full palm of our hand. Okay, so like when you're hugging someone you love.
Exactly.
Or holding a baby.
Holding a baby. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that full contact.
Full contact conveys warmth, intimacy.
Yeah.
But when we're not feeling as connected,
Oh, yeah.
we tend to distance ourselves. We
Right.
touch with our fingertips.
So like a polite handshake.
A polite handshake, exactly. Versus a warm embrace.
a hug. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's subtle.
It's subtle, but it's powerful.
Yeah. Wow. I'm starting to realize
Yeah.
nonverbal communication is a whole other language
There's a whole other language.
that we're not even aware of.
We're constantly speaking it.
Yeah, we're speaking it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've just scratched the surface here.
We've just scratched the surface.
Are you ready to dive into faces?
I'm ready for faces. Let's do it.
All right, we'll do that in part 2.
Sounds good. Welcome back to our deep dive into nonverbal communication.
Yeah, so we've been talking about how the limbic system drives these honest reactions.
Right.
But now I want to talk about, like, the most expressive part of the body. The face.
Oh, yeah, the face.
So much is happening there.
It's the mind's canvas, as Navarro calls it.
Yeah, where do we even begin? It's so complex.
Yeah, it's capable of such a wide range of expressions.
Yeah.
From like very subtle micro expressions
Yeah.
to those big, full-blown emotional displays.
Okay, so I've heard of micro expressions,
Yeah,
those
yeah.
super quick,
Yeah.
involuntary flashes of emotion.
Yeah.
Can we actually spot those in real time?
It takes practice, but yes.
Oh.
Navarro says they're often less than a second long.
Oh, wow.
They're like these tiny leaps of what someone's truly feeling.
So, like, if you
Yeah.
see it, you got to catch it.
You got to catch it. It's fleeting.
Yeah. Okay, but how do we know what they mean?
Well, there are some common ones to watch for.
Okay.
Like, for example, the eyebrow furrow.
Oh, yeah.
That often signals confusion or skepticism.
Yeah.
It's like your brain is saying, wait a minute, something doesn't add up here.
I do that all the time.
Right.
When someone's telling me a story and I'm like,
Exactly.
I don't know if I believe you.
Right, exactly. Another common one is lip compression.
Lip compression.
Yeah, where the lips just press together tightly.
Okay.
That's a classic way to suppress emotions.
So
Whether it's anger, sadness, even excitement.
I do that when I'm trying not to cry
Exactly.
or say something I might regret.
Yeah, trying to hold it back.
Yeah, hold it in.
But
You need to do
even
that.
though microexpressions can be valuable,
Yeah.
it's really important to consider the context.
Okay.
So just because you see a flash of sadness
Right.
doesn't automatically mean they're lying.
Right.
They might be genuinely sad about something
Okay.
that has nothing to do with what you're talking about.
Got it. It's another piece of the puzzle.
It's all part of the bigger picture,
Yeah, we can't just take
Right.
one tiny facial expression
not an
and
isolation.
make a judgment.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now here's a more subtle one.
Okay.
The nose wrinkle.
Nose wrinkle. Okay.
We usually think of that with a bad smell,
Right. Right.
but it can also signal disgust
Okay.
in a broader sense. So
Huh.
like someone tells an offensive joke,
Ah,
you see someone behaving unethically,
okay.
you might see that quick nose wrinkle.
Interesting. I'll be looking for that one.
Look for it.
Okay, so what about the eyes?
The eyes? Oh, yeah.
I feel like they're like,
They're the windows to the soul.
yeah, the most expressive part of the face.
Absolutely.
What can we learn from them?
So we talked about prolonged eye contact
Mm-hmm.
as a sign of attraction.
Yeah, yeah.
But eye squinting
Okay.
can also be revealing.
Okay.
It often happens when we're skeptical
Uh-huh.
or we don't believe what we're seeing or hearing.
It's like we're trying to block it out.
We're trying to block it out.
Yeah.
Like those memes, you know?
The I don't believe this.
I don't believe this.
Squinting at their phones.
Exactly. But it can also signal concentration.
Okay.
Like, think about someone focusing intently
Right.
on a task,
Uh-huh.
like threading a needle or something.
Right.
They might squint
Okay.
to sharpen their vision.
So again, context matters.
Context is everything.
So much for easy answers.
But no easy answers.
Okay.
Speaking of eyes,
Yeah.
we can't forget about the classic eye roll,
Oh, the eye roll.
which is pretty much a universal sign of
Contempt, disrespect.
intent or disrespect.
It's like a nonverbal, yeah, right.
Yeah, right? Or
That's
whatever.
her.
And while it might seem like a harmless gesture,
Yeah.
it can be pretty damaging
Mm,
to communication, especially in relationships. If
Yeah.
someone's constantly rolling their eyes at you,
Right.
it's probably a sign that they don't respect you.
Okay, I'll try to keep my eye rolls in check.
Me too.
Okay.
So we talked about microexpressions.
Right.
Are there other things we should be paying attention to?
Yeah, what else is going on
When we're trying to read someone's face,
with our faces?
well, Navarro talks about the importance of facial symmetry.
Facial symmetry.
Yeah, genuine expressions
Right.
tend to be symmetrical,
Okay.
meaning both sides of the face kind of mirror each other.
Okay, so like a real smile?
Like a real heartfelt smile,
Yeah.
both corners of the mouth turn up equally.
Yeah.
The muscles around the eyes crinkle in a
Mhm.
symmetrical way,
Yeah.
but a fake smile might look more forced and asymmetrical.
Oh, so one side of the face.
One side might be more active than
Yeah.
the other.
Okay.
The timing might be a little off.
So it's those little discrepancies
Yeah, those little things.
that our limbic system picks up on,
Our brain picks up on it.
even if we don't consciously realize it.
Yeah, we're constantly scanning for those inconsistencies.
That's interesting. What about the timing
Yeah.
and duration of expressions?
Yeah.
Do those matter too?
They do. Authentic expressions usually flow naturally,
Okay.
but fake ones often appear too quickly. They linger too long, or they disappear abruptly.
So if someone's smile is just like plastered on
Yeah, if it's like, too long.
too long,
Yeah, it's a little...
that's a red flag.
That could be a red flag. Again,
Yeah.
consider the context.
Right.
You got to look at the whole picture.
Yeah.
But often, when people are trying to mask their true feelings,
Uh-huh.
they overcompensate.
Okay.
And they just end up looking stiff and unnatural.
It's like they're putting on a performance.
They're putting on a show instead of genuinely expressing themselves.
So reading facial expressions is kind of like being a detective.
It is. It's like detective work.
Yeah, you have to look for all the clues.
You got to gather all the clues.
Yeah, and then trust your gut.
Trust your gut.
Yeah, because we have that intuitive ability to know when something feels off.
Yeah, even if we can't explain why Navarro encourages us to trust that intuition.
Okay.
Our limbic system is always working.
That's amazing.
Even if we're not consciously aware of it.
So by tuning into our intuition and paying attention to all these nonverbal cues,
you get a much deeper understanding.
It's like we're learning to speak a whole new language.
A whole new language.
I'm ready to level up.
All right, you ready for more?
What other nonverbal secrets are we going to uncover?
Well, in part 3, we'll explore how to actually apply all this knowledge in real-world situations.
Let's do it.
All right, we'll talk about how to project confidence, build rapport, navigate those tough conversations, and even decode those signals of attraction.
I can't wait.
Right.
It's going to be good. Welcome back to our deep dive. We've been exploring this incredible world of nonverbal communication.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, from the feet to the face.
From head to toe.
Yeah, and uncovering all these hidden messages that we're sending.
It's amazing how much we communicate without even realizing it.
Yeah. So now I'm curious, how can we actually see all this knowledge?
Right.
Like, can we leverage it to our advantage?
Well, that's a great question.
Yeah.
And Navarro, he's very clear that it's not about manipulating people or using these insights, to trick people.
Right.
It's really about becoming more attuned to what's being communicated.
So more aware.
More aware, both by ourselves and by others.
Okay, so it's about enhancing communication, not hijacking it.
Not hijacking it, It's about building genuine connections, navigating social situations with more awareness, and even yes, maybe influencing outcomes in a positive way.
Okay, so where do we start?
Well, I think it all starts with self-awareness.
Okay.
What are your nonverbal signals saying? Are you projecting confidence? Are you projecting insecurity? Openness, defensiveness?
Okay.
So before you try to decode everyone else, take a look in the mirror.
Look at ourselves.
Yeah, and think about your posture, your facial expressions. Your use of touch.
So once we kind of understand...
Once you understand your own pattern.
Our own, baseline.
Yeah, then you can start to make conscious choices about how you want to present yourself.
Like in a job interview.
Like a job interview. Perfect example. You want to project confidence, right? So you sit up straight, you make eye contact, you avoid those nervous fidgets.
Okay, yeah, so there are things we can do to control the message that we're sending.
You can be intentional about it.
Yeah, okay, so what about mirroring? I've heard of that.
Mirroring,
That's where you kind of subtly mimic the other person's...
posture, gesture, language, tone of voice.
Does that actually work?
It can be incredibly powerful.
Really?
It creates this instant connection, builds rapport.
Like when you're talking to someone. And you both lean in.
You both lean in,
At the same time.
Unconsciously.
Yeah.
It's like that nonverbal, I'm with you.
Yeah, okay.
But a word of caution.
Okay.
Don't overdo it. The mirroring should be subtle. And natural. If it's too obvious, it can backfire. And seem creepy or insincere.
Mirror, but don't mimic.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so let's talk about personal space.
Personal space,
Everyone has that invisible bubble.
We all have that bubble.
Around them.
It's important to understand those boundaries.
Yeah.
Navarro points out that different cultures have different norms.
So what might feel comfortable in one culture could feel totally intrusive in another.
Exactly.
Okay, so be mindful of those cultural differences.
Mindful, Yeah. Because, in some cultures, it's normal to stand very close when you're talking to someone. But in other cultures, people prefer more distance.
Okay, and that can lead to misunderstandings.
Big time.
If you're not aware of it.
Yeah, it's like those travel tips you hear about.
Right.
Don't give the thumbs up sign.
Yeah.
In certain countries.
Yeah, okay. Let's talk about conflict.
Conflict. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because... that's something that
everyone experiences it.
I think everyone struggles with at some point.
At some point,
So how can nonverbal communication help us navigate that?
One of the most powerful things you can do is to maintain open and receptive body language. Even when you're feeling frustrated.
So even if I'm like really mad.
Even if you're furious.
I shouldn't, like, cross my arms.
Try to avoid those defensive postures.
Okay.
Because they can escalate the conflict.
So what should I do instead?
Try to keep your posture relaxed.
Yes.
Your arms uncrossed.
Yeah.
Maybe your palms facing up or outward.
So it's like a nonverbal.
It's like saying, I'm open to hearing you.
Yeah, I'm listening.
I'm listening.
Okay, but what if the other person is being really aggressive?
Yeah.
Like invading my space?
Well, you absolutely have the right to set boundaries.
If someone's making you feel uncomfortable,
Yeah.
don't hesitate to step back.
Okay.
Or create some distance.
Okay.
You can even assertively say, please give me some space.
So it's finding that balance.
It's finding that balance.
Between being open and receptive,
Yeah.
and also protecting yourself.
Protecting yourself, exactly.
Okay, now for a lighter topic.
Right, let's lighten things up.
Romance.
Yeah.
How can nonverbal communication help us decode those signals?
Okay, so one of the most reliable signs of attraction is prolonged eye contact.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, when someone holds your gaze
Okay.
for longer than usual,
Uh-huh.
especially if it's accompanied by a little smile.
Oh, a little smile.
A little smile, yeah.
Okay.
That's often a pretty good indicator.
So if I'm locking eyes with someone across a crowded room,
Yeah, across a crowded room.
maybe they are interested.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Now, beyond eye contact,
Okay.
pay attention to touch.
Touch.
Yeah, light touches on the arm.
Oh, playful nudges.
Yeah.
Even accidentally brushing against someone.
Okay.
These can be subtle ways of testing the waters.
It's like a nonverbal, I want to be closer to you.
I want to be closer to you.
Okay, and then if they reciprocate,
And if they reciprocate,
that's a good sign.
could be a good sign.
Okay, but again, look at the whole picture.
The whole picture, always.
Yeah, don't just take one little
Not one isolated cue.
touch on the arm and
Exactly.
go from there.
Don't get ahead of yourself.
Yeah, be a detective.
Be a detective.
Okay.
And don't underestimate the power of a genuine smile.
Oh, the smile.
A smile.
Yeah.
It's one of the most universally attractive
Yeah.
and disarming expressions.
Okay, wow, this has been incredible.
It's fascinating stuff.
I feel like we've uncovered this whole new level of understanding
A whole new layer.
about how we communicate.
Yeah. And the best part is,
Yeah.
this is just the beginning.
There's always more to learn.
There's always more to learn.
Well, I'm off to practice
All right.
my nonverbal intelligence.
Get out there.
Thanks for taking us on this deep dive.
It's been my pleasure.
This has been really fascinating.
Keep observing, keep learning, and keep exploring.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks.